Arthur's Knee is an absolutely fantastic episode of Arthur, and it's one of my favourite episodes now, but I hated watching it, and I will explain what I mean by that. But first of all, before it gets to the title screen, it starts off with animated versions of various organs from Arthur's body, and we get to meet his stomach, who isn't feeling well because he's eaten too much cake, and his kidneys and his intestine, which I love. I loved how that was animated. I thought it was a very engaging way to start it. It was adorable. I had a lot of fun with that. Really brilliant start to a brilliant episode. And Arthur and the Brain are making a chariot, but one of the wheels is broken. So while the Brain has gone home for dinner or lunch or whatever he's doing, Arthur decides to go to the dump to see if he can get a wheel from a discarded bike or whatever. And reluctantly he takes DW along, otherwise DW would tell his mother that he is going to the dump when he's not meant to be there because it's a dangerous place. And as luck would have it, or as bad luck would have it, when he gets there, he ends up injuring his knee pretty badly, and honestly I felt sick. It reminded me of, those really awkward, cringy safety videos you watch at school, and it's all about how going to these places are full of dangers, and Arthur was climbing up these shaky discarded furniture, and there were all kinds of hazards all around him, and they kept focusing on these different dangers, making us wonder, what is it that's going to hurt him? Look at all of these hazards. And it really did feel like a really cringy school safety video. And then he cut himself, and I'm really impressed with how they animated this cut. It wasn't, we got to see blood, but it wasn't like pouring and oozing. They very effectively made it look inflamed, like it was going to become infected. And Arthur is in a lot of pain, but he doesn't want to tell his mother that he has hurt his knee, because then he'd have to confess that he went to the dump when he wasn't meant to. And I guess more importantly, that he took his young sister to the dump as well. And DW displays a fantastic bit of courage, and she seems very level-headed as she tells Arthur, look, you really need to tell Mum and Dad about this. And the Brain comes over and looks at it and goes, yeah, if you don't, you're going to be at risk of all of these different infections, scaring Arthur into doing the right thing, but obviously he doesn't want to. And DW was fantastic. I guess this is a spoiler from now, because I'm going to explain what ended up happening and also what the main message is. So spoilers from now. DW said, I will keep my promise. I will not tell Mum and Dad that we went to the dump, but you will have to tell them. And her role here was encouraging Arthur to do the right thing rather than tattling on him. She actually tried and successfully convinced him to do the right thing. And I think that's brilliant. That's always the best approach. If somebody has done something wrong, or if they are injured, or if they need help, instead of doing it for them, try and encourage them to take that step. And I was really, really impressed with DW. It's very rare that she displays that kind of personality. And obviously, well, I guess there are two messages here. The first one is, don't go to the dump in the first place. If you are told you need to keep away from somewhere, particularly by your parents, it's probably for a very good reason. And as I said, it felt like a school safety video where there were dangers everywhere. It made me feel sick, genuinely did, which is why I hated watching it, because I was nauseous and on edge all the way throughout it, but particularly that scene at the dump where there were just hazards everywhere. And it just took me back to school safety videos, which were always unnerving. But ultimately, the main message is, if you are hurt, get help. It doesn't matter if you're going to get into trouble. Most parents, I say most parents, there will be exceptions, if you are hurt, will deal with that first and foremost. Yeah, like Arthur, you will be punished for going against their wishes in due course, but first and foremost, they will help you. And that's really crucial. So I think it's one of the most important episodes of Arthur, because it's, well, potentially life-saving, depending on how severe infections are, or how bad the dangers are. But I also really love it because it made me feel sick. It was that powerful. It was that intense, and it started off fabulously adorable, and then straight away the mood switched, and it was difficult to watch, even in animation, an animation that's aimed at children, and it still made me feel on edge. Pretty powerful stuff. Arthur's Knee is definitely one of the most challenging episodes to watch, but one of the most fantastic.